Week 11 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters that looked hit off the wire this week. The first hitter, Heliot Ramos of the San Francisco Giants. So Ramos, it's been a good year for him, and now over the last few weeks, he's starting to get everyday opportunities and making the most of it, especially with season-ending injuries. Michael Conforto, he's hurt as well, and now Luis Matos, he got sent down to the minors last week. So on the season for Ramos, 6 home runs, 23 RBIs, 13 runs scored, a stolen base, a 327 average, and a 419 on base. But over the last couple weeks, he's been white hot. 4 home runs, 14 RBIs, 6 runs scored, a 405 average, and a 519 on base. Obviously, he's not going to stay at this rate, hitting the baseball over 400 and an on-base percentage over 500 in the time. But definitely, he was one of the top prospects in this Giant system over the last few seasons. And right now, he's the table setter, batting first to second usually, and he's made the most of his opportunity. And one of the better pickups this week, June 5th, at the D-backs, 2 for 2, a homer, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. June 7th, at the Rangers, 3 for 5, an RBI. June 8th, at the Rangers, 2 for 4, a homer, 3 RBIs. And June 9th, at the Rangers, 0 for 4. So right now, Ramos playing good baseball. And with a lot of these players, they could be hot for a few weeks and then go back down to not doing much, and then you drop them off your team. But that's the name of the game when you're adding free agents on the waiver wire all season long. The next hitter, Joey Ortiz of the Milwaukee Brewers. So Ortiz, one of the main pieces in that Corbin Burns deal, coming from the Baltimore Orioles to this Milwaukee Brewer team. And that just shows how deep this Oriole farm system is, where we've seen a lot of good infielders on that roster as well. Jackson Holiday, Norby, they've called them up. They got Kobe Mayo down there as well. So a lot of prospects, and Ortiz was expendable for an ace-type starter like Burns. On the season for Ortiz, it's been a good year for him. 5 home runs, 23 RBIs, 25 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a 291 average, and a 387 on base. So a great on-base percentage guy, good eye at the plate, not striking out that much this season, only 31 strikeouts in 169 at-bats. And over the last couple weeks, the pop hasn't been there, but the average has: no home runs, 5 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 9 runs scored, a 310 average, and a 408 on base. So right now, Ortiz, he's been playing every day. Good qualifying at second, third for fantasy owners. June 4th at Philly, 1 for 5. June 5th at Philly, 1 for 2, a stolen base. June 7th at the Tigers, 2 for 5, a run, 2 RBIs. June 8th at the Tigers, 1 for 4. And June 9th at the Tigers, 0 for 4. So right now, Ortiz, good versatility. He'll give you, like I said, some power, a few stolen bases, average, and on base, and more of a category league type of play guy like him than a points league, even though you can't go wrong either way. So right now, well, he's available in 50% of fantasy leagues, and most likely the last chance for owners to go out there and get him. I will give him an ad this week. The next hitter, Nick Gonzalez of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Nick Gonzalez was a top pickup off the wire last week, and this is the last chance as well for owners to go out there and get him. Only available in 56% of fantasy leagues. So ever since he's been getting more playing time, he's playing better and made the most of his opportunity on this young up-and-coming Pirate team. On the season, 4 home runs, 23 batted in, 2 stolen bases, 13 runs scored, a 305 average, and a 343 on base. So Gonzalez, the only thing is on base to batting average ratio I don't like as much. His contact rate isn't all that great. He struck out 25 times. Right now is Gonzalez in 100 at-bats, so that's got to go down a little bit. But we know second and short are the weakest positions in fantasy baseball besides catcher, and he can help right now with batting average. Some pop he's got in RBIs. June 5th versus the Dodgers, 2 for 3, a run, 4 RBIs. June 6th versus the Dodgers, 2 for 5, a homer, 2 ribs. June 7th versus the Twins, 0 for 2, an RBI. June 8th versus the Twins, 1 for 4. And June 9th versus the Twins, 2 for 5. So it seems like every game pretty much Gonzalez is getting a hit for this Pittsburgh Pirate team. And he's a good ad this week. Like I said, he's going to hit the baseball. He's putting it play for the most part. And when a guy could do that, especially qualifying at second and short, it adds more value. Next hitter is Mark Vientos of the New York Mets. So Mark Vientos finally winning that third base job after Brett Beatty once again got the opportunity, beating him out coming out of spring training. But Brett Beatty, we just haven't seen much out of him over the last season and change with this Met team. And now Vientos getting an opportunity after he's done it all at AAA. And now since he's gotten the chance, he's playing good baseball. In the year, 5 home runs, 13 RBIs, 12 runs scored, a 314 average, and a 372 on base. So like I said, Vientos, he's got pop. We've seen it in the minor leagues, and we've seen it so far already with Vientos. And only 71 at-bats this season. He's got the 5 home runs, and he's going to play third base every day for this Met team. So I know this Met team with the London trip and a lot of days off, and that 27th man who was called up for this series was Brett Baty. He started at third base. But Vientos, once they get back home and play this Met team and start to get games going, Vientos, he's going to be playing every day, and he's a solid pickup right now. I'm not saying the batting average is going to stay up there, but he's definitely a legit power hitter where we've seen enough of a track record in the minors. June 4th at the Nats, 1 for 3, an RBI. June 5th at the Nationals, 1 for 4, run, an RBI. June 8th versus Philly, 0 for 4. And June 9th, he pinched hit in that one, 1 for 1 with an RBI. So like I said, they got a 3-game set coming up versus the Marlins. Is his New York Met team. Vientos, he has good versatility as well, qualifies at first and third, and he's available in 60% of fantasy leagues. Next hitter is Cedric Rafaela of the Boston Red Sox. So Rafaela, he's been getting it going over the last few weeks, and he qualifies at short and outfield. So on the year, 7 home runs, 37 RBIs, 30 runs scored, 8 stolen bases, a 216 average, and a 244. So obviously the on-base and batting average I don't like for him. But the last couple weeks here, he's really getting it going. 2 homers, 9 RBIs, 7 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, 277 average, and a 306 on base. I know Rafaela strikes out a whole lot, but he's batting 9th in this Boston Red Sox lineup where he's going to get a lot of good pitches to hit. And teams, obviously, even with the universal DH, they're not going to pitch around that number 9 hitter. They're going to get pitches to hit, and Rafaela's been taking advantage of that of late. June 6th at the White Sox, 4 for 6, a run, 4 RBIs. June 7th at the White Sox, 1 for 4. June 8th at the White Sox, 1 for 4. And June 9th at the White Sox, 0 for 4 with a run. So right now, Rafaela, he'll score some runs. He's got some underrated pop with the 7 home runs on the year. And his RBIs are really good as well with 37, and he'll steal some bases. So all around, he's a 3 or 4 category type of hitter, and I like him this week. The next hitter, Alec Burleson of the St. Louis Cardinals. So Burleson, he's been a nice pickup over the last few weeks, and most likely the last chance for owners to go out there and get him. Only available in 55% of fantasy leagues. So Alec Burleson showed some pop. And this Cardinal team, they've gone with some different players and given them an opportunity this season. So on the year for Burleson, 9 home runs, 24 RBIs, 20 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, a 274 average, and a 307 on base. Already he surpassed his home run total from last season was Burleson in 120 at-bats less. So the last couple weeks, I know the average is down, but still 4 home runs in the time, 7 RBIs, 7 runs scored, a 200 average, and a 241 on base. So like I said, last chance for owners, 55% of leagues he's only out there. Batting second in a premium role with this Cardinal team, especially where hitters like Goldschmidt and Arenado behind him. Even though I know they've lost a little bit of those guys, they're not the MVP type of caliber players like they were, but they're still solid ball players, I believe. June 6th versus the Rockies, 1 for 4. June 7th versus the Rockies, 2 for 5, a run. June 8th versus the Rockies, 0 for 3 with a run. And June 9th versus the Rockies, 1 for 4 with a homer and an RBI. So good versatility as well for him first in outfield. So Burleson, I think he helped fantasy owners, obviously with power. He's going to drive in some runs, and he's in a prime position in this lineup. The next adds his teammate Mason Wynn of the St. Louis Cardinals. So top prospect last season, came up for a cup of coffee, and he just wasn't good at all. Was Wynn with 2 homers, 12 RBIs, a 172 average, and 122 at-bats. But so far this season, he's turned it around easily. 3 home runs, 23 RBIs, 22 runs scored, 8 stolen bases, a 306 average, and a 360 on base. So Mason Wynn, he's showing batting average. We know he's a speedster. He's going to steal some bases. And he's even had some RBIs as well off this leadoff spot. So the last couple weeks for Wynn, 1 home run, 8 RBIs, 6 runs scored, a stolen base, 321 average, and a 371 on base. So he's doing a little bit of everything. He's been the catalyst and the table setter. And this Cardinal team, they've definitely played better over the last 2-3 weeks here, where they've gotten things going for this team and back in the hunt in the wild card. June 6th versus the Rockies, 2 for 5. June 7th versus the Rockies, 1 for 4, 2 runs scored. June 8th versus the Rockies, 0 for 4. And June 9th versus the Rockies, 2 for 5, 2 RBIs. So like I said, if you need some stolen bases, runs scored average on base, and some RBIs for a guy in the leadoff spot, I think Wynn can help fantasy owners. And right now, like I said, he was the top prospect for a reason last year in the Cardinal system. And this year, he's turned it around. Available right now in 66% of fantasy leagues. Next hitter is Charlie Blackmon of the Colorado Rockies. So Blackmon, I know his all-star seasons are behind him. His batting title runs are behind him as well. But I still believe he's a hitter that could go out there and help in spurts for fantasy owners in points leagues. On the year, 2 home runs, 25 RBIs, 28 runs scored, 5 stolen bases, a 259 average, and a 332 on base. So his on base to batting average, still a good ratio. Last couple weeks, he's been hitting the ball well. 1 home run, 6 RBIs, 6 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, a 370 average, and a 435 on base percentage. Available right now in tons of leagues at 92% is Charlie Blackmon. So right now, still the leadoff hitter for this Colorado Rocky team. I know this team's not going anywhere. Once again, the second worst team in all the National League. But Blackmon's been getting on base, and he had a 4-game hitting streak before the last game, and 3 out of 4 games were multiple hit games. June 5th versus the Reds, 3 for 5, 2 runs. June 6th at the Cardinals, 1 for 3 in RBI. June 7th at the Cardinals, 2 for 4, a stolen base. June 8th at the Cardinals, 3 for 4, 2 runs in a bag. And June 9th at the Cardinals, 0 for 4. So like I said, average on base and stolen base is what Blackmon's going to do for the most part for fantasy owners, because this lineup isn't all that great. Where he's going to score tons of runs. And like I said, he's at the latter part of his career, but still in spurts and on weeks on and off. I think he can contribute to fantasy owners. Next is Gavin Sheets of the Chicago White Sox, so a former top prospect in the system many years ago. And obviously he hasn't lived up to the Billy Sheets, but this season he's improved a little bit. On the year, 7 home runs, 28 RBIs, 21 runs scored, a stolen base, a 246 average, and a 348 on base. But the last couple weeks, the power has been getting going. 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, 8 runs scored, a 262 average, and a 333 on base. So right now, Sheets available in 96% of fantasy leagues. Batting cleanup for this White Sox team, where it's been a long season and a tough year, and they're going to have a fire sale most likely before the Major League Baseball trade deadline. But Gavin Sheets right now is producing, and he's showing some power. So in deeper leagues, if you need some pop and an everyday player qualifies at first and outfield, I think he's a decent add in those deep leagues. June 5th at the Cubs, 2 for 5 a run. June 6th versus the Red Sox, 0 for 3. June 7th versus the Red Sox, 1 for 2, a homer, an RBI, 3 runs scored. June 8th versus the Red Sox, 3 for 4, a homer, 4 ribs. And June 9th versus the Red Sox, 1 for 4, a run, and RBI. So the last 3 games, he's been tearing it up with 6 RBIs in the time and 2 home runs. And right now, some of these hitters, you just ride them out for a few weeks, and then if they fizzle out, you drop them off to the waiver wire and you pick up someone else who's getting it going. And that's how you pretty much play the wire and can be successful, staying in the hunt all season and possibly stealing a player good all season long. You don't have to play the wire as much, where if you can find consistent guys who can help all year long or even months in a row here, that's the way to do it. So right now, while Sheets is on a heater, he's in there this week, and the final hitter is Tyler Lockyer, Seattle Mariners. So Lockyer, one of the better prospects in this Mariners system, and he's first and third base eligibility in fantasy baseball. So he made his major league debut in yesterday's game, 1 for 4 in that one at the Kansas City Royals, batting 7th. And this Seattle team, we know they got good pitching. Bryce Miller, George Kirby in this rotation. Brian Wu's having a good season as well. Luis Castillo. So they're good in the rotation, but the offense has been a problem. And now Lockyer, he's got called up, and we'll see what he could do. Available in 98% of fantasy league. He's hitting well in the minor league. He got promoted to AAA, and now with Ty France on the injured list, he's going to get the opportunity. Is Lockyer. So he was hitting over 300. He was moving up the system pretty quickly, and now he's in the big leagues. And we've seen a lot of young guys over the last few weeks get called up, especially at the pitching position. People most likely still waiting on Junior Caminero and James Wood, top 5 hitting prospects in the majors, to come up. But like I said, prospects are starting to come up. These are players that could pay big dividends for dynasty leagues, keepers, and obviously redraft leagues. And right now, Lockyer is one of those guys that's been called up, and he's going to get an opportunity with the France injury and the Seattle offense needing offense. So that's a few hitters that looked off the wire for Week 11 of the fantasy baseball season.